It's 11 p.m. Marcus Bell stands at his kitchen counter staring at his phone. This morning at 6 a.m. his paycheck hit $3,000. He's a warehouse shift lead and he earned every cent. Rent, gas, groceries, the car payment. He didn't blow it. He just lived. And by nightfall, the whole thing evaporated. He does this every 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks he asks the same question. Why can't I ever get ahead? Marcus, look at just one of those dollars, because a dollar isn't a thing you spend. A dollar is a worker you hire. Watch, this one just grew 2 little arms, 2 little legs, and a bright yellow hard hat. Say hi to Buck. Keep him and he clocks in and goes to work for you 24 hours a day and he never quits. But spend him, he waves goodbye. Forever. You didn't lose money, you fired an employee. And this morning, 3,000 workers showed up for duty. By tonight, you'd fired every single one. It was never the size of your paycheck, Marcus. Your workforce has a turnover rate of 100% every 2 weeks. A zero balance just means nobody's left to work the night shift. My name is Nick, and here's the secret the whole game runs on. Rich people aren't paid more per hour than you. They just employ more dollars. Nobody hands you that payroll manual because a workforce that grows quietly is invisible. So this video is the manual. And by the end, Buck's crew is going to outturn you. So the next morning, Marcus does something small. He skips the gas station coffee. $5. He keeps it instead. And that $5 isn't saved. It's hired. Not on one lucky bet or a hot tip your cousin swears by. You put Buck into a broad, plain investment, a little piece of a whole lot of companies at once, and you leave him there. Boring is the whole point. Now Buck next to a mountain of bills feels a little silly. And hear me, because this feeling is the whole trap. Buck isn't the answer to the mountain. He's the first hire on a payroll that grows. And Marcus isn't hiring just one. $5 a day is roughly $1,800 of brand new workers a year. Now cut across town. Dwayne. Same age, same $3,000 a month, same exact morning, but Dwayne bought the coffee, and by lunch that dollar was gone. If you asked him tonight what he spent it on, he couldn't tell you, same $5. One man hired a worker, the other let one go. Dwayne isn't broke because he earns less. He earns exactly the same. He's broke because his $5 crew never got hired. And 30 years from now, that quiet difference is the whole story. So Buck's been on the job a while and Marcus gets his first payslip. And he almost laughs, because it's pennies. $1 little dollar, a few cents back. That's the whole payoff everyone won't shut up about. Don't laugh. Here's what a wage actually is. When you put a dollar to work in the broad market over the long haul, the honest long-run number, the average of the good years and the ugly ones together, is somewhere around 7 to 10% a year. I'm going to use 8, and I'll be straight with you, that's an average, not a promise. Some years are flat, some are down. Some years Buck comes home with less than he left with. That's real, and I'm not hiding it. At 8%, $1 earns about 8 cents in a year. And this is exactly where people quit. It looks too small to bother with, so they fire the crew and spend it. But watch what those 8 cents are. Marcus clocks out, drives home, falls asleep, and Buck doesn't. Marcus is off the clock 16 hours a day. Buck never is. The pennies aren't the point. The point is who's earning them and when. So a year goes by. And at the end of it, Buck walks up to Marcus, and he's not alone. He's holding a tiny new dollar worker by the hand, Buck's kid. Same hard hat, clocks in too. The wage Buck earned didn't get pocketed. It got rehired. Now Marcus has a little more than one worker, and his payroll starts expanding itself while he sleeps. But only if he never cashes the checks. The second he spends what Buck earns, he fires the next hire before it's even born.
Yep.
And here's the part that fools everybody. Reinvesting instead of spending is the whole difference between saving money and building wealth. Let me put real numbers on it. Say Marcus pushes his $5 a day up to $200 a month and keeps hiring at that 8% average. 10 years in, his crew is worth somewhere around $37,000. But over those 10 years, Marcus himself only put in about 24,000. The rest, his crew earned. Keep going. 20 years in, that crew is worth somewhere around $118,000. It didn't triple because Marcus tripled his deposits. He's still putting in the same 200 a month. It jumped because the crew got big enough that their wages started doing real work of their own. And 30 years in, right around $300,000. But over those full 30 years, Marcus only ever deposited about $72,000 of his own money. $72,000 in, right around $300,000 out. That means more than $200,000 of that pile isn't money Marcus earned at the warehouse. It's money his dollar workers earned for him. That gap is the entire reason we're doing this. And here's where it clicked. I didn't hand Marcus a spreadsheet. I handed him a napkin and one number, 72. Divide it by your wage rate and you get how many years it takes your crew to double. At 8%, that's about 9 years. Every 9 years, his workforce doubles and he doesn't lift a finger, and something in his chest loosened. For the first time, this thing had an ending. But doubling isn't a straight line. It's a curve that barely moves, then explodes. $1 becomes 2, small. 2 becomes 4, still small. But by the end, that same doubling isn't turning 1 into 2 anymore. It's turning 100 into 200 in a single stretch. That last doubling, where the crowd of bucks fills the whole warehouse, adds more workers than all the earlier ones combined. But it only happens if you sat through the quiet little ones first, the boring years by the loud ones. You cannot skip to the end. Now for the part that stings. I line Marcus up against Deja. 25, works the loading dock, still lives with a roommate to keep her rent low, hires half of what Marcus does. Half. But she started 7 years earlier, and Marcus, hiring double, can't catch her, ever. Because her first bucks are already deep into their doublings while his are just getting hired. You cannot buy back a shift that already passed. Every day you wait, that dollar loses another shift it will never work. Not delayed. Gone. Time is the foreman here, not you, not the amount. Now I can't afford to invest. I get it. Marcus said it too. But it's the excuse that keeps the most people poor. Marcus's whole edge is $5 a day. Give it a little push and you're at $200 a month, and he never once feels the pinch. Because here's the trick, he never touches it. He automates the hire. The second his paycheck lands at 6 a.m. before he's even awake, $200 is already gone, already on shift. He doesn't decide to invest. He decided once, and a machine does it forever. A dollar hired the morning it lands never gets the chance to be fired. And willpower, at 11 p.m., exhausted, is the weakest thing you've got. And steady buying quietly wins. When the market drops and everyone's panicking, his $200 buys more bucks cheap on sale. The guy waiting to invest $1,000 once things settle down never invests, because things never do. Marcus doesn't have to be right about any single month. Now flip the whole floor upside down, because Marcus is already carrying a crew working for the other side. See that credit card balance? That's not a bill. That's a payroll. Every dollar he owes is a little buck too, except this one wears the bank's cap and marches the wrong way, dragging his paycheck out the door before he wakes up. That card charges about 22% a year. Remember the foreman's math. Divide 72 by 22, about 3 years. That's how fast the bank's crew doubles. Your good workers at 8% take 9. In the time it takes your good crew to barely double once, the bank's crew has doubled and doubled again and is halfway to a third. They are winning. Badly. And they win while you sleep. So the order writes itself. Before Marcus hires a single new dollar, he fires the traitors. A good dollar might earn 8%, might earn less, might have a rough year. Killing a 22% debt earns a certain 22% the moment you do it. It's the highest paying job available to him. Now the quiet one, the traitor that never sends a notification. Fees. Dwayne finally puts money into a managed account, and buried in the fine print is one number, 1% a year. Sounds like nothing. It's a boss at the door every year, skimming a slice off every wage your crew earns, and it compounds against you the same way growth compounds for you. 1% versus 0.05% looks like nothing. But over 30 years, that quiet 1% lays off whole rows of bucks, not because the market failed, but because a boss at the door skimmed them off, year after year. And Dwayne never feels a thing, because nobody hands him the invoice. The enemy workers you refuse to hire matter as much as the good ones you do. Debt at zero, costs near zero, and every dollar stays on your payroll. Then one day Marcus gets a raise. $500 a month, but a raise is not a reward. It's a fresh crate of workers, 500 brand new bucks a month, hard hats on. And here's the only question that ever mattered. Do you hire them or fire them the second they arrive? Two Marcuses. The first does what feels normal. The truck and the phone get an upgrade. Take out 3 nights a week now, not one. None of it feels crazy, he earned it, right? But quietly, all 500 of those new workers got a wave goodbye the day they were born. And here's the cruel part. Next year the bills are bigger, so those 500 aren't even optional anymore. He's locked in. The second Marcus points the same automatic hire at the raise, so the whole difference goes to the floor before he feels it. Same paycheck feeling, completely opposite future. This is why a guy making 90 grand can be just as broke as a guy making 40. It's not the income. It's that every raise got fired on arrival. You can outturn your whole neighborhood and still hire nobody. So when your income goes up, send at least the raise to the crew before your brain gets a say. A small raise put to work early beats a giant one put to work late, because those early bucks get decades on the clock. Marcus took the raise. And for the first time, he didn't spend it, he hired it. Now jump ahead. Year 26. Marcus opens his statement on the couch and he stops. Last month his workers earned enough to cover the electric bill. The whole thing by themselves. He didn't pick up an extra shift. He was asleep, and the lights stayed on because his crew paid for it. That's the first crack of daylight. But here's the real finish line I promised him back in that kitchen. The crossover. The month your workers' wages add up to more than every bill you have. From that month on, the crew keeps the lights on, not your back. Here's the honest math. There's a rough guideline many people use. In a given year, you draw about 4% of your workforce off the top and leave the rest working. So work it backwards. Say Marcus needs about $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. And $24,000 is 4% of 600,000. So the crew he's aiming for is around 600,000 strong. Remember that 30-year arc, 200 a month growing to right around 300,000. Bump the monthly hire up, add the raises he stopped firing, give it a few more years, and 600,000 is just the same machine run longer. And here's the key. Marcus lives on the wages, not the workers. The 600,000 stays on the floor, still working, still having kids. That's what retirement actually is. Not an age, a headcount. You're free the month your dollar employees outturn you. And that exhaustion from the 11 p.m. kitchen, that's when it finally lifts. Now let me take Dwayne's side because he deserves it. I've spent this whole video quietly making him the guy who got it wrong, and that's not fair. Not every dollar Dwayne fired was a mistake. Some bought a real life. His wedding, the one his kids will see photos of someday. The trip to be in the room when his dad was still around, back when there was still time. No crew of bucks, no matter how big, buys back a day that already happened. Some dollars should be fired. That's not weakness. That's the whole point of having money. Because you can't eat a spreadsheet. A giant crew of bucks that never buys you one good day isn't wealth. It's hoarding with a hard hat on. The goal was never to fire nothing. It's to hire on purpose and be at peace with the dollars you choose to spend. And the workers have bad decades. Markets fall hard, sometimes for years. Every number I gave you, the 8%, the 37,000, the 300,000, that finish line, is a long-run hope, not a promise. The path there is jagged, not the smooth curve I drew. Anybody who says otherwise is selling something. There's also an order I won't skip. Before you build a big crew, you need a cushion, money you can reach in a bad week. A job loss or a health scare can rewrite the best plan overnight, and you don't want to be firing your good crew at the worst possible moment to cover it. The workforce comes after the floor is solid. And look, I'm a guy with a cartoon dollar. I'm not your financial advisor, and this isn't advice. It's a way to see your money so you go ask better questions and talk to a real professional. Your numbers, your risks, not mine. It's 11 p.m. again. Same kitchen, same tired eyes, same phone in Marcus's hand. But tonight something's different. He's not staring at what's already gone. He's opening an app, setting up one small automatic transfer, $5 a day, and Buck clocks in, hard hat on. This time for real. So here's what Marcus figured out in one line. You don't get rich by earning more per hour. You get rich by employing more dollars for more years. Here's how you start. 1. Fire the traitors. If you've got dollars in a bank uniform working against you at 20-something%, they go first. Nothing you invest outruns a debt bleeding you that fast. 2. Automate the hire. Pick something broad, boring, built to hold the whole market, and set it on autopilot so a little gets hired every payday before you can talk yourself out of it. 3. Never fire the wages. Let every wage go right back to work and have kids. That's the machine. Don't unplug it. And listen, every dollar you spent before tonight, every worker you fired, let it go. You weren't reckless, you just didn't know they were workers. Nobody handed you the manual. And starting now was always the only move you had. Not last year, not when you're richer. Now. So here's the only question left. The next dollar in your hand. Are you going to spend it, or are you going to hire it?